How's it going, guys? Grab a cup of coffee and take a seat. Today we're going to be talking about how to quickly do your dailies on all of your characters and how to quickly do Chaos Dungeon on all your characters, because there's a couple different ways that you can go about it depending on what the character is. First thing we're going to cover is, most important above anything else, is Crystalline Aura is going to be the biggest time saver that you could possibly have, purely because of the Bifrosts that you're going to end up unlocking for them. It's extremely important to have 4 Bifrosts if you're trying to save a lot of time. As all these newer classes are coming out, we are ending up in a position to where everyone has multiple characters that they're wanting to do the dailies on. They're trying not to rest a bunch of stuff because it feels inefficient. For those, if your roster is starting to get too big, I do recommend starting to rest things. If it's starting to feel too much for you, and really only focus on the characters you really care about. For me, in my case, I have 3 characters that I try to pretty much do everything on daily. And then outside of that, I have characters that I will let them build up rested, and I'll try to do things as soon as it gets full. You don't really lose that much value by letting it rest. Time is money, and time is important, and it's hard to come by. So first thing I want to cover today, again, is ensuring, as long as you have your Bifrost in place, the dailies, if you have a character that you are actually actively trying to hone and level up, you are going to want to be doing dailies for Leapstones. This is the best value you can get out of your dailies every day on a character. For these, the ones that I highly recommend if you're trying to do them quickly is going to be Frozen Sea and Shoeshire. We got Where It Belongs here, so we're going to go ahead and pick up this one. Then we have Unsolved Mystery of the Watchers and Wailing Swamp. And then the last one is Kinsera's Memorial Service here in Nameless Valley. So we're going to accept this. In my case, because I've already done these before, I already have the Bifrost set up for these. So from here, I just go to the Bifrost for the first Chaos Dungeon itself, or the first daily rather, itself. And let's go ahead and let this load. As soon as it loads, if you're in a channel that looks like it's already been killed, or if there's bots around, I recommend just changing channels right away. Change to one of the lower channels, or because the bots are less likely to be there. And then you're just gonna go ahead and kill every single pirate you see here, or every bandit rather. And these are going to help you quickly get your 50 here. As long as you just basically kill everything or close to everything, you'll get your 50. So as soon as it's done, you're going to go ahead and mount up. The turn in for this one is right around the corner here. So you want to set your Bifrost right about here, so you're right next to it as you go to pick it up. This makes it to where, again, this is a daily that's going to take you, 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute, if that. So you turn it in, spam your G. Next one, we're going to go to Phaeton now. We have a waypoint here in Wailing Swamp. So for this one here, if you see here in where I am on Wailing Swamp, you want to basically set a Bifrost right here. This Watcher is basically always here, so you can immediately throw at him and he'll be right here, and then you can immediately teleport down to Nameless Valley. That one is already done now, that daily. Next thing here is Nameless Valley, so we're going to go ahead and finish the third now. And again, when you get to the point where you're trying to do this on 6 characters, if you have 6 characters or a full roster that you're really trying to hone up all the time, it definitely saves time. You want to move past these and go all the way down to this third tree down here, because this is just out of range of all these monsters here, so they're all going to leash and they'll all fall off of you. And then if you go on the right side of this tree, you avoid the aggro from these other monsters over here on the left and these monsters down here on the right. You can move back up here. And then we already just teleport right back to Kalasha, because this character is done. We just got to get him turned in. Alright. While this loads, let's go ahead and get these turned in here. Once you teleport back to Kalasha, again, short run. You run inside. You turn in the first one up here at Kinsera. And then the second one we're going to end up turning in right here down below. So this is going to give you your 12 Leapstones a day. If you are in a position where you are trying to maximize your leapstones and you have an abundance of time or less characters total, then the ones that are highly recommended for people are going to be Hypnos Eyes, where you end up doing an arena quest. You basically go through a few waves of monsters. It's really easy. There's a lot of downtime though, so it takes a pretty decent amount of time. You can set a Bifrost there. Calhertz, if you have spare pirate coins, you are freeing prisoners, basically. And then some people do Alakir, but since the change to it, it does take a little bit more time, and you can only do it at certain times during the day. So most people will just do Shoeshire or something else easy for the last one. But if you're really trying to maximize things, you can do Calhertz and Hypnos. That's something I did early on, a long time ago, or when I'm like very much trying to push a character, then I'll be taking these and actually doing them. But now when I'm kind of coasting on these characters now, I don't really do those. So now that we've done this on this character, let's go over how to quickly do your low-paying dailies for silver, because as you start to get into the end game here of things that are you're really starting to push 1490 plus on multiple characters, the biggest thing that you're going to run into as a bottleneck is going to be your silver. Alright, so now that we've covered doing dailies for Leapstones, let's go ahead and cover what it is to do your dailies for low paying, or how to quickly do these. So there is a little bit of setup for this at first, because you are going to have to set up your Bifrosts the first time on each and every character, but once they're in place, it does make it to where you can quickly cycle through multiple characters. It'll take, just a couple minutes each. On each character that you're trying to do stuff on in order to finish the low paying dailies. So let's go ahead and get this pulled up. Something I try to get into the habit of doing, if it's a character that I am only doing low paying on, is the first time I log into it for the day, I will try to ensure that I go into the guild panel. First thing first, when I log into them, again, go into the guild panel, support the research, donate to your guild, some silver to make sure you get your contribution. The boxes that you're able to buy at every week really help push the silver generation that you're getting every week as well, as the extra boss rushes and cubes that you're getting on these other characters that you kind of don't really care about anymore. So for me, the three that you're going to want to do right here is going to be Arthatine, Vern, and Shoeshire. Once your characters get to tier 3 is when they start to unlock this new tier of silver here that you see. So I'm going to pick up these 3 dailies here, and if you see my Bifrosts here, I have low paying, and then I have one for each and every location that I'm actually turning in here. So we're going to go ahead and teleport to low paying island first. Let's go ahead and do this, and there's going to be 3 machines it's going to make me go to here to start the quest basically. So I have to pick up the shipping materials from the box here. You can go ahead and pick up the second one, and then you want to run all the way to the backside to pick up the third. Helps when you have a faster character to do this. Alright, and now we're just going to go through the Bifrosts as we said before. 4 is important, and this is specifically why right here. So we're going to go ahead and teleport to the first. And you just want to set your Bifrost right in front of the merchant to where you don't even have to move. You can just hit G to complete it. And then you can already hit the button here for your Bifrost again and just teleport to the next location. And this way again, I'll get to showcase here that if we're trying to cycle through quite a few characters, this is definitely a time saver. So there's the second one done. And third one done. Alright, this one is done. Alright, so if this is a character that I was just doing low paying on, I didn't care anything else about, then I'm already done with this character for the day. Using the presets that you have for your gear, for your actual combat skills, and for your gems, you can actually set these for specific sets that you're doing. So as you see here, on set 2, I've named this to Chaos, and this is the build that I use for Chaos Dungeon. I use a Betrayal set with Preemptive Strike, in here, which all I do is just take the raid build I have, and I just took off the adrenaline engraving and I run a preemptive strike instead. So if you click on set 1 as well, you'll see raid here as well. And then if you hit K, you'll see for combat skills I have a raid build and an AoE build. The AoE is the one we end up using for Chaos Dungeon. And then you can also have gem presets as well. This won't be applicable to most people. Most people would probably just have a single one. But if you go ahead and hold Alt and hit E, you will see that there is these things. It says Mass Preset. These are what the game calls integrated presets. In here again, you can set a specific skill preset, a specific gear preset. If you are using tripods specifically on the tree, instead of what's in your inventory, you can have this use tripod specifically from your skill tree inventory. So for example, on my source, I have an Ignite build and a Reflux build. One of the sets is stored in the tree itself, so I actually apply my Ignite tripods from the skill tree inventory. But in our case, and for most people here, all you're going to do is once you've created a raid and a chaos gear preset and a skill preset, you're just going to make sure you set those both in here. You can choose a pet if you have a specific pet or cards that you want to be using as well. And then once these are set, when you go to open the integrated dungeons button here, if you do not see this on your own game, if you click the 3 lines over here on the side, you can remove any of the ones that are there by default. So in my case, we can go ahead and we'll just remove Find Party here. If you uncheck the little box here, you can see there's lots of different options for widgets that you can add under here. Whatever you want to your liking. You can go ahead and set these here. So if you want to have a market tab or Find Party, Proction's Compass, whatever it may be, you can go ahead and set these here and set the widget. And from the integrated dungeon tab here, if you click on the shortcut for Chaos Dungeon, for example, you can actually set the specific integrated preset that you want to use for this specific game mode. And this will automatically change your gear to, or your equipped gear to the integrated preset that you choose in here. So you see I have Chaos set for this, and for Guardian raids, I have it set to raid. For my Abyssal dungeons, I don't really actually do these on here, so I never actually set it, but we can go ahead and set it to raid now for the next time if I do end up doing these again on this character. And for same goes for Abyss raids. You can also set this to raid. And you want to go through every single one of these and actually set it to what you want it to be. So for Legion raids, this is set to raid as well. And then you just want to make sure that you get this set for everything that you're doing. Alright, so now that we've covered doing dailies, the next important thing to make sure you're doing every day is going to be your Chaos Dungeons. Mainly when it comes to doing Chaos Dungeons quickly, there are 2 different setups that you have. If you have a character that has very high damage, high single target damage skills with AoE, then you're typically going to want to be running a build using Preemptive Strike to utilize this, because again, this is going to guarantee a crit and a ton of critical multiplier on any hit on a monster that already has full health. So in this case, on my Scrapper, the build that I run here has a ton of high damaging single target or high damaging AoE abilities that use a single hit. For this, I end up using a salvation set for Chaos Dungeon just to add a little bit of extra damage for that. For other characters, if you are playing a class like War Dancer or Soul Fist, something like that, where you're going to be hitting a lot of different things for smaller hits, then you're going to want to end up using a Betrayal set instead. And so let's go ahead and showcase what it looks like to be doing a Chaos Dungeon with a character that has Preemptive Strike. So most importantly for this is, again, you don't want to be using something like Betrayal because you want to be keeping everything at full health. Typically when you start out, again, you just want to kind of get everything into a circle. You're running around in a circle to get everything clumped up, and you're just going to use an ability that's going to basically kill everything on the screen in one hit. Again, you keep cycling and let everything spawn and get clumped up. You can use, whatever abilities you have that are going to be a single hit that's a large distance. In this case, you mainly end up using Earthquake Chain, Dragon Advent, and True Rising Fist, or Potent Rising Fist rather. And then again, just keep cycling. It takes about 45 seconds of floor for the first 2 rooms on this character, and then maybe about a minute and a half for the last one. If there's a few stragglers, again, this is where you start to use the other skills. But for the most part, you just want to keep abusing the AoE damage as much as you can. In this case, even the green skills, it would typically be for a spec build. But if you see how I run this, I pretty much still just run full Swift or whatever gear I'm using for my tie set. For this, you want to grab all the elites, kind of bring them all up in close, and then you're going to want to use your ult to kind of kill everything right away. You'll notice the timer, or the cooldown on my ult, got lowered all the way down to 50 seconds, because for every elite monster you kill, the cooldown on your awakening skill gets lowered by about 10 seconds each one. You can see here as I kill these, I'm getting 10 seconds off on my awakening skill. So same thing, let everything clump up, and you can kind of just kill everything with Preemptive Strike. This is where it really helps to run around and just let everything kind of build up in a circle. You're going to get better times if you're actually just gathering everything instead of just throwing every attack you have on a character with Preemptive Strike. Something with Betrayal would be different, and as soon as the actual boss thing spawns, you just hit it with your Awakening. Because of Preemptive Strike, it'll always crit, and you'll just always immediately kill it, and you can move on to the next floor. Go ahead, same thing, same strategy goes here. You can use your Awakening on this again because it's going to get much lower cooldown again from the elite that spawns from this totem, as well as when you kill this, it's going to lower the timing as well. You see there, it lowered it by over 2 minutes. You can use Preemptive Strike to quickly clear these packs here. Again, if you're going to be using Potent Rising Fist, the second hit on it is the one that does the most amount of damage here. So you'll see me, I will typically start the upward part of that away from the monsters and then do the other part of it into them. Just so I don't accidentally hit them with the first part of that. The other skills are typically for movement here. Again, we'll give everything a second to spawn and start to run in before we Preemptive Strike them down. Just be quickly through here, and we're going to get to use our ult again, or our Awakening rather. On this last pack of mobs that are going to spawn here in a second. Or as soon as the totem spawns rather, we'll be able to use our Awakening on this again for the last one. Give them a second to start running inwards, and then go ahead and Awakening. That's everything again. Let everything respawn and bundle up. Dragon Advent them, Earthquake Chain the remainder. Wait for them to spawn again. So we're Potent Rising Fist again to kill everything one more time. Let everything cycle here. And that will be it. So you see about a minute and a half and 45 seconds for the other floors. For again, any characters like a Berserker, Scrapper, even Bard is pretty good at this. You have quite a few large hitting abilities on Bard as well. Anything again that has these large single hitting abilities, you want to use Preemptive Strike. In my case, I have the gold version of this, but anyone else can just freely use 2 Preemptive Strike books here. Because I have things, I can use Spirit Absorption, and I can just kind of maximize my move speed. The rest of my gear realistically doesn't matter. Preemptive Strike alone would be enough to just basically be killing everything already. Next, let's go ahead and show you how to do this on a character that is using Betrayal. So because it's still Preemptive Strike, I'm still going to try to stick to the same strategy that I was doing before. I'm going to try to bundle up everything. For Soul Fist here, the F ability hits larger. And then for the Betrayal set, it's going to give you one of 3 different ethers. One that's going to drop these meteors that you're seeing. One that will give you an electric aura around you that does lightning damage. And then one that just will do random lightning strikes around the map. You definitely notice the difference. The Betrayal Chaos characters are just a tad bit slower, typically, than the ones that can fully utilize Preemptive Strike to its fullest. But it's not too much of a difference. You see that floor 1 is roughly the same speed. that you would get on a full preemptive strike character. For the second one here, we can go ahead and try to, again, get everything stacked together. For Solstice, I'm just going to go ahead and use this. You always want to start off with your Awakening if you can, because as long as you're killing all of the elite monsters that you're seeing here, you will end up having it back in time for the final boss in order to quickly burn them down. See if I can actually get a Betrayal Ether here to showcase the Lightning Aura, because that's typically the one that's going to end up doing the heavy lifting if you are using the Betrayal set kind of system. For this, you'll see, again, Preemptive Strike is still doing the heavy lifting, even though I don't have too many skills to utilize it. Even the Awakening on Soul Fist isn't just a single hit, so you can't use it to just necessarily one-shot, but as long as you're landing it, then you're going to go through pretty quickly here. And then for the last floor again, oh, I keep missing out on my Spirit Recovery because the loading screen's not paying quite as much attention as usual, but doesn't typically matter. Again, abuse Preemptive Strike as much as you can. Typically, again, wait for everything to load. Position however you need to do for the Awakening on your class. Make sure you're using your Awakening as much as possible. This is even more important on things like Bard, where Oratorio, for example, is going to do a lot of damage. This is the Lightning Aura that I was talking about. Bard actually has one of the fastest Chaos Dungeons if you are using Preemptive Strike and like Awakening, so you can constantly be just using your Awakening throughout the fight. It has a very good clear on Bard as well. So again, same thing, the lightning damage here is doing most of the killing that we're having here as we're cycling through. Same thing, again, as soon as your Awakening is up, you want to make sure you're utilizing it and getting things down. For those that are asking or wondering if we're wasting a lot of silver for these Awakening shards, I highly recommend you buy your Awakening shards using gold off of the auction house. You can get a stack of 10 of them for 1 gold, which is going to be much better value than buying them with silver. So if we look at the Awakening Chaos shards here, they are 1 gold.